My question is, when we are going to get back our Kashmir, which has been occupied by the Pakistan, we want to know it because we are from the land of Syama Prasad Mukherjee ji. Thank you.
I think, since we are in the land of Dr. Syama Prasad Mukherjee, the first thing to appreciate and to consistently get into the minds of the entire nation is the fact that we have actually rectified a fundamental mistake which was made in 1947. And a mistake for which Dr. Syama Prasad Mukherjee fought so hard in his own lifetime to rectify. Now, so to me, if you do not do that, see, I've tried to, all of us know the domestic debates on this. The point I was making is, if you leave open such a vulnerability, in a competing world, others are going to exploit it. And that is exactly the account which I read out to you. And the fact is that by leaving there a Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, we allowed a contiguity to develop between really two adversarial nations. And that is today costing us as well. So now what happens beyond, obviously is not something that anybody can say with great authority and certainly not in public. But I do think that even in terms of making clear you begin first by at least opposing something. Whether you then act on it, that comes later. When we took a strong position against the Belt and Road Initiative, against the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, I can tell you there were sections in this country who questioned us, and many of them questioned us publicly. Today they may want to deny but the record is there for everybody to see that who was clear-cut about what were our rights and what were our interests, and who was once again dodgy as they have been for the last 75 years. So that's my answer.
Maybe I'll ask a parallel question to this, use my prerogative. You're quite right in saying that the hyphenated relationship with Pakistan has been thrown into the dustbin. Pakistan is now stewing in its own juice, and it's no longer a priority as far as we are concerned. But the global priority as far as India and its neighbors are concerned is the other elephant in the room. Now that's something where a lot of our pretensions about soft power, hard power, non-alignment, independence sometimes seem to be put to the most severe test. I'm talking about the China factor.
Yes,
I know. But at least these days we mention China. There was a time in the previous government when the word China was not even mentioned. It was so embarrassing for them. They were not, whatever the reasons may have been. So I want you to sort of give us some perspective on how you see the relationship with China growing, especially in light of the developments in the Quad and the attempts to use India as the proverbial hedge.
Well, look, first of all, I would say in terms of what you said, soft power, how do we deal with it? I was reminded of something with the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu actually said at the Raisina dialogue. I can't give you his exact words, but in effect it was that soft power is no use without hard power. Okay, so the bottom line really is that we have to develop that deep strengths. We have to develop those industrial capacities. We have to develop the technologies in order for us it's not a question of competing with a neighbor or dealing with a threat. We need it for ourselves. India will not rise if India does not have the technology, the manufacturing, the economy, the infrastructure for that rise. So it's a self-propelled requirement that we need to have. And that is exactly, if you actually are to connect the dots. When Prime Minister speaks of a Atmanirbhar Bharat, when he speaks of an Amrit Kal, briefly appeared to be open to a narrative that suggested that both India and Pakistan were victims of terrorism. This was exactly the false equivalence that Dr. talked about in his time. So what is the answer? We have seen that unfold over the last 9 years in a variety of ways. To begin with, this means taking a position acceptability of cross-border terrorism. It is obviously not in our national interest that we normalize terrorism by carrying on with the rest of the relationship as usual. That message has been sent loud and clear. Where egregious actions of cross-border terrorism are concerned, the operations at Uri and Balakot are as much a shift in our thinking as in our actions. But it is also important to mobilize the international community through advocacy and awareness creation. Only then can we be successful in delegitimizing terrorism. As a result of our persistent efforts, there is widespread understanding today that this is not a threat to India alone. That the UN Security Council's Counter-Terrorism Committee held a meeting at a 2611 site in Mumbai was a statement of no small significance. It is also our endeavor to get global platforms and conferences, whether we speak of the G20, which we are in the middle of, or meetings like No Money for Terror, or bilateral and plurilateral mechanisms, and you saw that at the recent US visit or in the Quad statement, to keep the spotlight strongly on such threats. The listing process created by the UN Security Council 1267 sanctions importance, and there are no prizes for guessing which country features prominently in it. While matters related to Jammu and Kashmir and to Pakistan's behavior naturally come to mind, it would be doing injustice to Dr. Shama Prasad Mukherjee's legacy if we do not recognize fully his tenure as the nation's first Minister of Industry and Supply. In that capacity, he had a particular contribution to make to the establishment of the Chittaranjan Locomotive Factory and the Sindri Fertilizer Corporation. And he had a significant role in the transformation of the Hindustan Aeronautics Limited as we know it today. Here too, allow me to take a foreign policy perspective. In a competitive world where vulnerabilities are leveraged, it is essential that India builds deep strengths and modern capabilities. It is only then that we can adequately assure national security. While that may have been the broad objective over these 8 decades, it is also a fact that in the era of the open economy, this has led to great complacency on this front. We have struggled in particular to deal with competitors of greater scale and large subsidies. Our own policies, till a decade ago, have not been adequately supportive of promoting industry. In fact, there is apparently even a body of opinion that believes that we should not even be going in that direction. This has implications not just for employment creation, but even in terms of leading to dangerous dependencies. The Modi government has endeavored to course correct through a number of steps that include making it easier to do business, offering production-linked incentives, promoting exports, supporting small and medium enterprises, building the enabling infrastructure, and expanding the skills and talents of our society. These are all the building blocks of Atmanirbhar Bharat. And obviously there are many more. The point I wish to stress is that the outlook that Dr. Mukherjee displayed as Industry Minister is today one which guides us as we prepare to ascend the global ladder. There is a significant set of international conversations taking place today about the need for reliable and resilient supply chains. In the digital domain, there are concerns about ensuring trust and transparency. when it comes to critical and emerging technologies, you will hear of the need for trusted collaboration.